The St. Mark Hospital needs to replace its storage facility for the storage of iodine-131. The storage of this radioisotope will need to contain the radioactivity of the iodine and keep the surrounding patients and doctors safe.
There are many regulations that surround the use and storage of radiation. These include in hospitals, the NRC or Nuclear Regulatory Commission. The regulations under 10 CFR 3575 recommend that patients be told to go only to private residences after treatment, and that they also have to receive instructions on who they can see and where they can go in order to limit the exposure of other people to this radiation. Patients can only be released if the exposure they receive during treatment is less than 500 millirems. Radiation regulations that are outside of hospitals include radiation workers can only receive up to 5 rems of whole body exposure per year. Non-radiation workers can get up to 0.73 rems per year. These are international radiation regulations. And the disposal of radioactive materials in a public area must follow the atomic energy rules of 1987.
The severity of effects of iodine-131 on the human body depends on a variety of different variables, such as the amount of radiation that is released, the distance between the human body and the place where the iodine is released, the height of the release, and the meteorologic conditions at the time of the release, as well as the meteorologic conditions after the time of the release. Iodine that is absorbed through the body and concentrates on the thyroid are primarily absorbed through food and water contamination. The effects that iodine-131 has on the body consists on a high chance of radiogenic thyroid cancer later on in life. Non-cancerous growths and thyroidistics are also high possibilities.
There are many rules that surround the storage and use of I-131, which include that when not in use it should have lead shielding, and that any waste is isolated and sealed in a clearly labeled container. When it is in use, it needs to be secure at all times, and any clothing and coverings that may have come into contact with it should be removed, and all surfaces that may have come into contact with I-131 should be monitored and decontaminated. I-131 is usually stored in a and delivered in a container made of tungsten. The use of these containers require them to be opened under a fume hood, and the handler must be wearing goggles and gloves behind a lead shield. The handler cannot touch the container, but must use a syringe holder made of lead. When not being used, the I-131 should be kept in a room away from the patients and doctors.
Iodine-131 is an important radioisotope of iodine discovered by Glenn Seaborg and John Livingood in 1938 at the University of California, Berkeley. It has 53 protons, 78 neutrons, and a radioactive decay half-life of 8 days. The isotope is used to treat hyperthyroidism and thyroid cancer, which is why it is stored and used in hospitals. When patients take a dose of iodine-131, either through a pill or through a drink, it is absorbed into the bloodstream and transported to the thyroid, where it attacks and kills the cells.
This equation represents the beta decay of iodine-131. The point of this equation is to be able to stabilize the radioactive material that is iodine-131. To stabilize iodine-131, xenon is created. Beta decay can be described as where the nucleus emits an electron. The beta particle is formed when a neutron kicks off a negative particle to a proton. In this equation, iodine has an atomic mass of 131, and the atomic number, which contains protons and neutrons, is 53. The iodine emits beta waves to xenon, which also has an atomic mass of 131 and an atomic number of 54. The beta waves take away an electron and end with the stabilization of iodine-131. Here is a list of our sources.